Hello again, everybody, and welcome to another edition of Everywhere, Every Day, the show that puts you in touch with the Postal Service. On this edition, check out the latest technology that makes it possible for your letter to go from point A to point B faster than ever before. See what the Postal Service has cooking with a local small business. Take a look at stamps from all over the world right here in New York. Join in the celebration for Hollywood and Harlem, and go yard with the new baseball Sluggers stamps. The United States Postal Service has always been committed to providing the best possible service to their customers, from the days of the Pony Express to today. That's why they use some of the most sophisticated technological equipment available to make sure that your mail gets to where it has to go. But how does a letter actually get from one point to another? Well, let's see.
Speed. People want it fast, and they want it now. In a high-speed transportation network like a mass transit system, thousands of people travel millions of miles of track to get to their final destinations. 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. Your mail travels a network just like it. The Postal Service delivers over 670 million pieces of mail per day to over 144 million families and businesses. So how does it all work? Your letter, like others from all over the country, takes many high-tech twists and turns before it's delivered to your door. First, letters from all over the country are picked up from post offices and collection boxes at the end of each day. Then, they're sent to a central processing and distribution center located in areas near your home or office, like this one. These centers process outgoing mail, the mail you are sending, and incoming mail, mail that's being sent to you. Seem complicated? Well, it is, unless you do it for a living. When mail arrives at the processing and distribution center, it's separated by size and type. Large, oversized envelopes and packages go to one operation and letters to another. Once this separation is done, your letter and hundreds and thousands of others just like it are sent to a machine called the Advanced Facer Canceller System. This machine does just what the name says, plus a little extra. First, it faces the mail in the proper direction for other machines to read it and cancels the postage at the same time. If a letter has no stamp, it's then moved out of the system and sent back to the return address. While being processed on this machine, the address on the letter is being read by a special device called the optical character reader. This marvel of high technology actually reads the addresses on the letters at the rate of 40,000 pieces per hour. If a barcode is detected on a letter, it's then sent directly to a barcode sorter. Now let's say an address can't be read because the handwriting is poor or the address is incomplete. Not a problem. This machine takes a picture of it, sprays an orange ID tag on the back, and transmits the image to what's called a remote encoding center, which may be hundreds or even thousands of miles away, where a postal employee looks at the image and figures it out. This can all happen within just a few seconds. Once the address is figured out, the image, now in the form of a barcode, is transmitted back to the processing center and put through the delivery barcode sorter. ID tags are matched with the information from the remote encoding center, and a barcode is sprayed on the front of the letter. The same delivery barcode sorter that sprayed the barcode result from the remote encoding center sorts the mail to either the local delivery area where you live or to one of our other 400 processing and distribution centers across the country. Mail for your local delivery area is put on a delivery barcode sorter too. The machine accurately sorts the mail in sequence, street by street, house by house, in the same delivery order that your carrier follows on his daily route. That way, the letter carrier can get you the mail earlier and faster since it's already put in the order it will be delivered. Once everything is sorted, it's crunch time. Mail is sent out according to a very strict time schedule. Mail is taken to the loading docks, where hundreds of people work in sync to load the mail onto trucks that will transport it to the next destination. It may be delivered by the mail trucks you see every day in your neighborhood, or by highway, train, boat, or plane, depending on where your letter needs to go. If you are sending a letter out of town, It arrives at the processing facility near the town you're sending the letter. It's then sorted automatically to the final post office near the house or business your letter will go. Once in this post office, the letter carrier puts it in the mail truck and off it goes to be delivered. Your letter, along with the millions of others that will be delivered, could have been going anywhere in this country. To Grandma's house, the Empire State Building, or the bottom of the Grand Canyon. That small stamp in the upper right-hand corner of your letter buys a high-tech whirlwind ride that costs the same to anywhere in the country. It's called Universal Service, and it's a privilege for the over 700,000 employees of the Postal Service to deliver to the American people for over 225 years and counting.
Of course, the Postal Service delivers more than just letters. Express and priority mail packages have become an integral part of the business world's landscape. And our next story gives us a little taste of how one particular company uses priority mail service.
Sandwich is so good.
You eating?
Turkey and Swiss.
It's the same thing I'm eating. Mine's so bland.
That's because I use flavor spray. It makes everything taste so much better.
Spray, huh?
Yeah, I just got this new flavor in the mail the other day.
The mail? I guess you can get anything in the mail nowadays.
Flavor spray is our new invention. We invented it about a year ago, and what it's used for is to enhance the flavor of foods that you find bland in your daily diet. One of the things that we actually invented with flavor spray was having a zero-calorie, zero-carb concept of flavoring. So now you can spray flavor on your food without having the fattening calories of sugar and all the fats and all the bad stuff that actually are your topping sauces and gravies. Flavor Spray launched in October 2005. We launched with our website, flavorspraydiet.com. After we launched, we got Time Magazine's Invention of the Year. From there, we are now in 17 different countries. We're in England, we're in France, Switzerland, Sweden, South Africa, Japan, China. All over the world, people want to be part of Flavor Spray.
And to meet this high demand for Flavor Spray products, Sean had to make sure that the shipping operations would run smoothly.
When Flavor Spray first started, we were internet only. So one of the hardest things that we were hit with was hundreds of orders, and we didn't know how to keep up with our supply and demand on shipping. And we tried some of the other companies, and we weren't happy with them. And we just fell in love with priority mail.
I think they're very happy with the Postal Service because we give them extra customer service. We're always there for them. We're local. So we're really perfect for the small business.
It was the easiest solution to fit our everyday needs. The post office sends the driver down here, and the postman picks up all of our packages. Our packages, we could stuff in as many bottles as people order in some of the boxes because there's a one-rate box. So it actually helped me save money. One of the things that we discovered, which actually we went crazy over, was the fact that all of the boxes to now ship our products in using priority mail were free. We actually get our supplies from priority mail delivered to our door at no charge. No charge for the shipping of the supplies, no charge for the boxes, and it just cut costs on our savings, and we pass it off to our consumers.
By using USPS.com and Click and Ship, where they can print shipping labels and pay for postage with a credit card, it's just really easy for them because we really realize that they're leading busy lives. They don't have time to go to the post office.
Especially when you have about 40 flavors to create, test, and market.
My partner is Chef David Burke. He owns a couple of restaurants in Manhattan and now in Las Vegas as well. And he helped me and I helped him. He's my co-inventor. He came up with all the different flavorings, and we used his taste buds actually, to make sure that we got the taste just right in all the flavorings. Imagine taking bacon, grinding it up, sort of melting it, and taking out all the fat, all the meat, because our bacon spray is actually vegetarian friendly, and leaving nothing but the spice and the flavor.
One of my other favorites is the chocolate fudge. I spray it on whipped cream, and it's really delicious. It's a great dessert.
So what other tasty flavors will be coming out in the future?
The newest thing from Flavor Spray is Food Splash. Envision a shelf-stable liquid butter without the fat, calories, and carbohydrates. So you get all the flavor of your liquid butter, which you can now heat, but none of the calories. You can splash it on broccoli, you can splash it on popcorn, you can splash it on fish, and you can enjoy the taste of butter without actually eating the fattening butter.
And as Flavor Spray grows, so will their relationship with the Postal Service.
The Postal Service fits every single one of our needs that our business needs to actually take it to the next level. Priority Mail actually bailed out my corporation many times and saved the day with their 2-day delivery. So Priority Mail is going to grow with us till the end of time.
Wow, what a difference. Where can I get some?
To find out more about Flavor Spray, just go to their website at flavorspray.com. And to find out more about how the Postal Service can help your business, just go to USPS.com and click on the business link. Now, coming up next, tour the world through stamps and celebrate Hollywood in Harlem.
This is fine. Thanks.
Welcome back. Our next story features a postal store that sells stamps to the American public, but isn't part of the U.S. Postal Service. And it's the only postal authority that can issue stamps in different international currencies. And it's right here in New York City for you to visit.
The United Nations officially came into existence on October 24, 1945. Its purposes are maintaining international security, developing friendly relations among nations, and helping solve humanitarian, cultural, and environmental problems. The idea of the UN issuing its own stamps came about in 1947. In 1950, the United Nations Postal Administration was formed, and 1 year later, they came to an agreement with the U.S. Post Office Department. It stipulated that UN stamps be denominated in U.S. currency and only at United Nations headquarters. Similar agreements were later reached with Swiss and Austrian postal authorities.
I suppose there's two mandates for the United Nations Postal Administration, and one is to disseminate and spread the word of the United Nations works and ideals through stamps and promoting its works and activities, but also it is a revenue form of which those revenue funds go back into the United Nations to propagate its works. We get a lot of people writing into us and supporting us and giving us also information of what we should be doing. And recently we had an Indigenous art exhibition where both of us, both USPS and ourselves, had unique stamps that feature the Indigenous art of the American Indian, and so we collaborated together to have a joint product. And again, this was very attractive to both US collectors as well as the UN collectors. Going back over the history, the first stamp issued in *51 to sell out in a matter of 2 days, I think is a record in anybody's books as far as selling of stamps. And I believe there's been other areas in the history. I think the 50th anniversary, they tell me there was a queue outside the UN building going almost 2 city blocks waiting to get that stamp for the 50th anniversary stamp. So it's quite amazing, really.
Tourists to the United Nations can browse through the UN Postal Store and buy unique philatelic items with varying themes. And they can mail them right there with a little help from the U.S. Postal Service.
This post office has a posting booth where customers can place their international or domestic mail, and every day that mail is cleared by our staff and sent to the USPS post offices, which are located in the inner part of the Secretariat building, and this mail is counted and checked for validity and also post-cancelled with US franking, and then it's carried by USPS either domestically throughout the country or any part of the globe.
We work closely together, and we make sure that everybody's well stocked and we have a close working relationship. We basically sell the same stamps. The U.S. Postal Service is intended for sales to the employees of the building, whereas the UN Postal Administration sells postage for visitors. Only UN stamps are sold at the U.S. Post Office and the UN Postal Administration. There are no U.S. stamps sold here. I should mention that all UN postage has to be canceled in this facility and then sent to the plant for distribution.
So the next time you visit the United Nations building, stop by the UN Postal Store and pick out a postcard or any other philatelic item that may reflect your humanitarian spirit. And with a little help from the U.S. Postal Service, your card will get to its destination.
Every day is different. We issue about 7 or 8 stamp issues a year, and it's just the involvement, and you're always learning. And I guess when I was going to college, I loved history and certain events around the world, and this is something that you get involved in and quite excited to learn. You're learning all the time, It's a great job, and I love it.
The United Nations Post Office is open during regular business hours, so check them out and tell them that the U.S. Postal Service sent you. Now our next story features an American stamp release. Hattie McDaniel was the first African-American woman to win an Oscar. That was back in 1939. 67 years later, the recent Black Heritage Stamp Series honoree is still an inspiration.
In a city full of festivals, Harlem Week has become one of New York's most popular. Filled with cultural activities and fun events that make up the better part of a month, the Postal Service joined right in and helped to kick off the Hollywood in Harlem Film Festival Luncheon.
Today's luncheon in particular honors African American women in cinema. It's a recognition of the hard-working black actresses who for over 80 years, can you believe it, for over 80 years, have used film to immortalize the varied faces and stories of black women.
Today, we are proud to present the award for Outstanding Women in Film to Mary Alice in honor of Hattie McDaniel. Halle Berry couldn't make it today. She's filming in Japan, but accepting in her honor is Tara Renee. She's the president of the African American Women in Cinema. She was very instrumental in organizing today's program. Please give her a round of applause.
I want to tell you a little bit about Hattie McDaniel. I bet there's not a person in this room who hasn't seen Gone with the Wind, but she was much more than that. She was a woman who actually broke historic cultural barriers. Not only was she the first African-American woman to win a coveted Academy Award, she was one of the first African-American women to sing on radio. That was in 1925, so you know what a hard time it was for her to get on there. You probably don't know this, but she made more than 300 films, but she only received credit for 80 of them. She died very young, at age 57, in Hollywood.
The most important person in show business for me is Hattie McDaniel. She was so much more than an actor. I mean, she really tried to help not only African Americans in film, but African Americans in the Los Angeles community. So I just adore her. I just adore her.
Hattie McDaniel has paved the way for many African Americans in film and in entertainment, and she is still paving the way for the younger generation today.
young people in my family, they didn't really know her. They didn't, I mean, some of them may have seen Gone with the Wind, or they may have seen her in a late night movie, but they didn't really know who she was. I mean, they didn't really know how important she was. And I was just so happy that the Postal Service honored her, because she certainly deserved it. It's such a beautiful stamp, too. It's one of the most beautiful stamps that they put out.
I think it's so important what the Postal Service has done in releasing the African American stamps. I am so happy when I go in. As soon as I see them in there, I find them. And I make sure to get stacks and stacks of them. So it's not just that I'm sending them to my friends who will appreciate it, but I send them to pay my bills. I send them for all kinds of correspondence, because I think it's so important that we put those stamps on. A lot of those people are forgotten, and it's great that the U.S. government, the U.S. Postal Service, is honoring them with a stamp.
I think it's a really a boost to the African American community to continue the African American legacy stamps, you know. Don't stop, because I buy a lot of them.
Next year is Ella Fitzgerald.
Coming up next, the official release of the baseball Sluggers stamp at Yankee Stadium is a smash hit.
There's one! Come here, you!
Is it mice?
Nope.
Rats?
Nope.
Hogs?
That's right, miss.
Hogs?
Energy hogs. If you're wasting energy, you'll find one in your home.
Got energy hogs in your house? Now you have the power to do something about them. Log on to energyhog.org.
Hey, let me go!
In your dreams, Porky.
Because nobody likes an energy hog.
Welcome back. A few months ago at Mickey Mantle's restaurant in New York City, the Postal Service offered the public a sneak peek at the baseball Sluggers stamp set. Well, those stamps have been officially released, and the unveiling ceremony was done in grand style.
Yankee Stadium, the house that Ruth built, has seen many dramatic and exciting moments, and the first day of issue ceremony of the baseball Sluggers stamp was right up there with them. The unveiling took place right behind home plate and simultaneously in the right center field bleachers. Marty Appel, a close friend of the Mantle family, offered some insights on these baseball heroes, starting with Mickey.
Gosh, he was fun to be with. There was nobody who had the joy of life, who was a better teammate, who didn't care if you were the fan mail clerk or the manager. He was just wonderful to be with, and he was really a great American hero to baby boomers. He came along at the start of the television age. He was the first superstar that television highlighted, and for people who grew up in the 50s and 60s, Mickey Mantle was everything. Mel Ott spent his entire career here in New York with the New York Giants, was as much a hero to Giants fans as Mickey was to the Yankees. Hank Greenberg was a great star from high school in the Bronx. He knew he wasn't going to play for the Yankees because he was a first baseman and Lou Gehrig was there. So we lost Hank Greenberg to the Detroit Tigers, but he was always a New Yorker in the hearts of New York baseball fans. And Roy Campanella just had the joy of life. He used to say that to be a baseball player, you have to have a lot of little boy in you, and he certainly embodied the little boy playing in the big leagues, having great fun with the game, and being the heart and soul of the Boys of Summer Brooklyn Dodger lineup.
Postmaster General John Potter has always been a big-time baseball fan, so he was thrilled when the legendary Bob Shepard, voice of the Yankees, introduced him to throw the ceremonial first pitch.
Your attention, please, ladies and gentlemen. Today's first pitch will be thrown out by a native of the Bronx and a graduate of Fordham University. He began his career as a postal clerk in New York and has worked his way up through the Postal Service. Through his leadership, the Postal Service has achieved record levels of service and efficiency. Ladies and gentlemen, the Postmaster General of the United States, John Potter. Thank you, Mr. Potter.
I grew up a Yankee fan. I was very fortunate. Back when I was growing up, the Yankees would provide tickets to the CYO, and there were many a time that my father led a group of kids, up to 40 kids. We'd pile on a bus, pile on a train, find our way to Yankee Stadium, and we'd sit out in the bleachers or sit in the upper deck. We had a real ball. So that really cemented my relationship with baseball, with the Yankees, and my hero, Mickey Mantle.
And as Mickey's two sons looked on, Mr. Potter's baseball hero got his own special unveiling at the stadium.
You know, I'm thinking about the honor of being on a postage stamp, and there are 250 or so players in the Baseball Hall of Fame. A lot smaller group get their image on a U.S. postage stamp, and I think it's just a fantastic honor.
Stamps represent America, and it's a celebration of America's history. And the American sport is baseball. In the summertime, people grow up, they watch baseball on TV, they play baseball out on the fields of America. It's America's sport, and so this is an opportunity to recognize those people who've made great contributions to the sport of baseball. When I think of baseball, the most exciting part of baseball is a home run, and these four folks have hit over 1,600 home runs collectively. So this is a great opportunity for us to kind of remind people about the fact that baseball has been around a long time and has a very proud history, just like the Postal Service.
The Sluggers stamps are just the latest in a long line of baseball stamps that the Postal Service has issued over the years. And if the feedback from the fans is any indication, well, these Sluggers have hit another home run. Now that brings us to the end of another edition of Everywhere, Every Day. If you have any questions or comments about the show, just drop us a line at Everywhere, Every Day, 421 8th Avenue, room 5114, New York, New York, 10199-9681. Or you can fax us at 212-330-3498. Or send us an email at ewed@verizon.net. For Everywhere, Every Day, I'm Bob Trombley. See you next time, everybody.